Oh, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dead Funny Review Show. I'm your host, Chris, and the only person here because I told you I'd bring you a review show on the Conjuring 3, and that's what I'm here to fucking do. So, Conjuring 3, full spoiler alerts, all over the place, because we're going to talk about the movie. This came out on HBO Max, so if you don't want to go out to the theaters and you want to watch from the comfort of your own home, that's a place for you to do it. Other than that, like I said, let's go ahead and jump into this and get started. So, The Conjuring 3 is supposed to be the end of the Warrens story, I believe, the ones with the actual, like, a heavy, like, setting of the Warrens. This is supposed to be the end of that. First off, it was good. It was definitely a good movie. I would say if I had to rate it, it would probably be my second favorite out of the three, which is kind of weird because number 1 and number 3 would be tied for second place. I don't know. It's weird. And that's just out of the Conjurings. Whenever you actually add all the other movies in, I mean, the Conjurings are kind of lower on my list just because of how much I like Annabelle and stuff like that. But anyway, so The Conjuring 3 was a pretty interesting movie. One of the biggest reasons is because it takes place on a case, whether you believe in ghosts or not, or you believe in the Warrens or not. This does take place on an actual case that actually happened in the judicial system, if you will, where a defendant, I guess, tried to use the... Oh, man, I'm just lost for words right now. Oh my gosh. They tried to use the whole the devil made me do it as their defense in order to get off of a manslaughter charge. Obviously, didn't happen. The courts, I believe in real life, and I read the actual case, was that the courts cited that regardless at the end of the day, there's no way to prove that. And what I liked that they showed was that the Warrens went on a talk show and talked about this. And the talk show host said something that I thought was pretty impressive, or not pretty impressive, but, pretty on the point here, which was, what's to stop anybody from doing anything considered illegal and just walking in and be like, the devil made me do it. The devil made me do it. So I kind of get where they came from, because that is a very hard thing to prove. And, I mean, hell, like I said, whether you believe in ghosts or not, if there was anybody that was going to prove it, it would have been the Warrens. So, yeah, so the movie starts out with the possession of the little boy. And the thing that I liked most about this one is that they went more into ritual stuff where they were being cursed versus just actual, like, moving into a haunted location. This was something that was thought out and meant to 100% harm somebody, doing these hexes and these curses like that, which was pretty cool. So it starts off with the little boy being possessed and the Warrens trying to do the exorcism with a priest. That scene was done really well. The way the little boy's body was all shifting and shit, and it was crazy. But basically, it ends with the little boy attacking Warren and the demon stopping Warren's heart, Ed Warren's heart, and the little boy then got grabbed by the sister's boyfriend, I believe, because I don't think they were engaged yet. Sister's boyfriend, and they and he was like, hey, he's just a little boy, let him go, take me instead, take me. So therefore the demon transfers to the the boyfriend, and then the little boy is free. One of the things that I liked on what they did was that sometimes in a lot of these paranormal movies, and I've actually went back and just started watching the original Paranormal Activities as well, just because I'm fucking bored and I like watching horror shit. But a lot of times you'll see in these kind of movies where, like, the victim gets pulled. What I liked in this movie was there was this scene where Ed Warren is walking down the stairs and he's holding the little boy. He's like, we got to do this now. Let's get him downstairs. We got to do this now. And you see him struggle as if the demon is pulling the little boy. But it gives us even more visuals behind that because Warren pulls hard enough and gets the grip. And you actually see that it's not the demon that's pulling the little boy. The demon is actually holding on to the wall. You just can't see the demon. So you see these gigantic scratch marks go down the wall where Warren is literally pulling this boy and this demon all the way downstairs to be able to do this exorcism. So that was pretty cool. But yeah. So then it goes to this boy or to this young man having to deal with the fact that he now has this demonic possession in him, and that starts to unravel. He starts to see this weird lady and stuff like this and doesn't know what's going on. And that leads to kind of some normal situations going on in his house that normally he wouldn't get all pissy about. His landlord just jamming out, dancing music, drinking. I'm pretty sure they did it all the time. And he gets really pissed off because he thinks that the landlord, I guess, is kind of moving in on his chick, and all of a sudden the landlord starts kind of showing his like horrific faces, and that's the demon kind of fucking with him. So the point here is, I guess before we move further, because you kind of don't figure it out until after this, but I'll go ahead and say it now. The woman he keeps seeing is a not a witch doctor. What would they be called? Oh my gosh. I guess she just would be a satanic worshiper, but she does like a lot of dark art, magic, and shit. Anyways, she's the one that made the curse to begin with, so she puts that on him. She's able to kind of control him a little bit. It's more of like just making him like get ready to do acts of violence. So he sees this horrific face, and then obviously, you know, he grabs a knife and stabs the shit out of the landlord. I think he stabbed him like 22 or 26 or something like that many times. And it was like, you know, one of the biggest murders that ever happened in that small town. So the boy's going to jail, and the Warrens are trying to get him off due to the fact of demonic possession because they know it's not him. And one of the things that I thought was really cool was that it's not so much of a demonic possession, which is one of the things that they were able to rule out because they had him like read from the Bible and be able to pick up a cross, splash holy water on him, no reaction whatsoever. And they don't know what they're dealing with. So this is kind of like a new thing for the Warrens as well, which I thought was pretty cool. So they had to go through all this different ritual shit and try to figure out what was going on, dive into some more studies and things like that, which was pretty cool to see them kind of try to figure that shit out while the entire time Ed is dealing with a lot of medical conditions due to the demon hurting his heart earlier. So at the end of it, you have where Ed and Lorraine find out, you know, who she is. That scene was probably my favorite part because they're helping this cop in order to get information to their own case. They're helping this cop with this case that's kind of similar. And they ended up finding, because Lorraine being a clairvoyant, she ends up finding the little girl's body that they were looking for. Well, I'll say little girl, she's probably like a teenager. But they end up finding the girl's body that they were looking for. And her and Ed sneak into the morgue and grab this girl's hand. And she establishes a connection to where she's actually able to see the chick. What Lorraine didn't know is that the connection was working two ways, so the chick could see them as well. She knew who they were. So while she's in this trance, the chick makes this body get up in the morgue and starts just rushing Lorraine, which then comes back again later on, which was pretty cool, but we'll get to that in a second. So it starts rushing towards Lorraine. Ed breaks the link real quick so that way, you know, she doesn't get attacked. But it was a close one. That thing was fucking charging. So that was a pretty cool scene. But as things go on, they find out that, you know, she found out where they lived. She put a hex in their house by sending Ed some get well flowers that withered literally the very next day. That's how they knew to look in there. And sure enough, that hex was in there. And the reason they knew about the hex was because what I was talking about earlier. Ed's in the house and he thinks he sees her. So he goes over there to her, and then all of a sudden he hears the footsteps from that big fucking corpse again. So he looks, and that corpse is coming at him. He can't find Lorraine anywhere, but he found her thing. She always keeps like this beaded necklace, kind of wrapped up, her rosary, if you will, wrapped up around her hand. He finds it on the ground, so he grabs that, and he uses that to kind of cast this prayer at this corpse, because he doesn't know what the hell it is, and it's working on it, backing it down, backing it down, backing it down, and then all of a sudden he snaps out of it, and it's like the corpse is there. It's actually Lorraine, and instead of him have the rosary, he's got like a knife getting ready to attack Lorraine. It was like, holy shit. So this chick's like really fucking with their heads. So they're like, we gotta figure out where she's at. We gotta get this taken care of now. If not, this is just gonna get more dangerous, which is completely fair. So they do all this other stuff. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, which I didn't have an issue with, but at the same time, I don't feel there was enough going on with the actual boy. They had like one episode, I think, in prison, and then like he started doing like this whole like levitating shit, and that's whenever like Lorraine and them like stopped the chick. Da 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 da. So it was a lot more about Lorraine and Ed. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with the guy in general. Hey, missed opportunity, maybe not. But what was cool is that one of the main focus points in this movie was Ed and Lorraine's relationship, which a lot of people in the paranormal universe liked, and I liked as well, because that was just a key for them to always like come back to each other, because there's a part where Ed kind of gets this shit thrown in his eyes, and it's kind of controlling him and stuff like that, and she's able to tell him, remember me, remember us, da da da. Keeps showing this scene about how when they first met, he was, selling tickets at a movie theater, and she ran into him. They ended up going to this gazebo, and it started raining, so they stayed there all night kissing until it stopped raining, and basically been together ever since then. So he ends up buying that gazebo, or at least building a replica or something like that, and surprising her with that at the end of the movie, which is pretty cool, pretty nice. But yeah, there really wasn't too much with the boy, and I feel like there could have been more there. But they go down, so they end up finding out there was this priest who kind of got kicked off to the side by the church because they didn't agree with what his daughter and shit was doing like that. I don't know if they were trying to keep that a secret or what, but it turns out his daughter is the person who's doing all this shit. He knows where she's at and how to get to her altar, because they find out that the only way to break this spell on this boy, or this curse, is to break her altar. Because the problem is that what she's doing, and she's done multiple times now, is that she's promising a demon a soul. So she's using these people as a curse, because she's getting this magic from this demon. In order for her to continue to use this magic, she has to give the demon a soul. So she used this magic to corrupt somebody, get them to kill somebody to give the demon a soul. The demon gives her more magic, and then she just keeps going, cycle, repeat, cycle, repeat, cycle, repeat, cycle, repeat. But the demon gives the magic first. That's the important part. The reason why that's important is because the demon has to have a soul. If he doesn't get a soul, or it doesn't get a soul, it's going to come after her. It has to take a soul back with it to hell. So it's going to get it somehow. Just depends on where it's going to come from. Anyways, so that was probably the coolest part, because they finally get down to the very bottom, and they're running through these fucking sewers under this town. And this is where the chick is at with like her sacrificial table or ritual table, whatever you want to call it. And they're trying to get down there to break that, and they ended up breaking that. And she's then not able to complete the spell, because the last thing she was doing was getting the boy to kill himself. And he's going to kill himself in prison. And now that he wasn't able to do that, Ed looks at her, and all of a sudden, like, her like bones are like fucking breaking and shit. And he's all like, the devil can't go back to hell without a soul, and you don't have one to give, so he'll take yours, or something like that. And he says something like that. I can't remember exactly his words forward, but something like that. And so then you see like a demonic version of her come walking up, and it basically just fucking destroys the shit out of her, and it's taking its soul and going back to hell. And then that's kind of how the movie finishes. Goes, like I said, to the whole gazebo thing, and they go to the courtroom, and the movie cuts as soon as the boy gets, what he's getting charged with, whether he's, guilty or free or whatever. And then they start showing actual pictures of the actual boy and the actual Warrens and the actual family, which was pretty cool. And talk about the fact that he did get sentenced for 5 years. Him and the girl did get married while he was in prison. They're still married to this day. All this shit happened, and they actually play a tape. The tape was actually kind of fucking creepy. It was a tape that they had took from the actual exorcism of the little kid. And some of the stuff that kid was saying was just, it was wow. It was just fucking wow. So yeah, like I said, depends on what you believe, but it was pretty crazy. But all in all, I'll say it was a solid hit into the Conjuring. I am excited for the side movies they're still talking about making. We'll see if that actually happens. I think one of the things that's going to suck the most about this series possibly going away is that we really don't, as far as a horror genre fan and a fan base, we really don't have anything to kind of fill that hole, fill that void, which really sucks. Because there's just nothing going on right now in the horror world, and that's just unfortunate. Because now we have to go back and watch older movies and stuff like that, and you know, it's just one of those things where you can only watch so many and cycle so much, and it's so easy to make a bad horror movie. That's the problem. So there's so many fucking terrible ones out there, but we're supposed to get a second Nun. And we're supposed to get the Crooked Man. So, I'll be excited to see how that happens. But yeah, other than that, like I said, there wasn't too much. I didn't think this review show was going to be too long. The movie was pretty good. Once again, HBO Max. Go check it out if you want to. The Conjuring 1 and 2 are on Netflix. And then the rest of the series I found throughout Netflix and Hulu and Amazon. But you could watch the whole series if you're looking for the other movies and wondering what to do. Check the review show that's going to pop up at the end of this video. It is going to take you back to the entire timeline of the Conjuring series where I discuss each one of the movies in detail, and you can figure out where or what those movies are and then go find out where to find them. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. Also turn on those notifications, that way we get notified next time. We get notified. You get notified. Sorry, you get notified next time we upload another video. Not the other way around. I don't know what the hell's going on with me. I can't talk. It's been a busy week, guys. It's been a busy week. But make sure that you comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the Conjuring series, whether or not you like the paranormal stuff. If you believe in ghosts, if you've seen ghosts, you've had your own experience, I'd love to have conversations about that as well. I know I've talked about mine personally on the podcast multiple times. Possibly other fucking content at this point. But make sure you comment. That's the best way to support us right now. We love having those conversations with you guys, so make sure you throw those comments down below. Also, don't forget we have a merch store as well, where you can pick up some cool as fuck Dead Funny merch. Constantly have some cool stuff up there, so make sure you check that out. But at the end of all this, hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We'll see you next time.